All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I have my friend Megan with me. My friend Megan, she is also working the same business that I am doing. She is a busy mom of five. She's a critical care nurse, a wife, and she has built a six-figure business, and she is here to tell us all about it. And yeah, let's dive right in, Megan. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Happy Freedom Friday. So,
Yes.
yeah, Megan, tell us what you were doing before you found this opportunity and like why, what was like the line in the sand moment for you?
Sure. So yeah, I've been here with this business just over 2.5 years. I have been in network marketing for, gosh, probably a total of 14 years now. So prior to high ticket here. So it was always in low ticket kind of MLM structures. Right after college, one of my past college basketball teammates reached out to me and just kind of was like, I think you'd be really great at this. And it was a very kind of clean product company that I still use today, but it was not on in the online world at all. Like that long ago, 14 years ago, nothing was really online. There were so many rules. You couldn't really do anything. It is nowhere near what social media has become now and network marketing and direct sales and remote sales, all of that. It was literally going to people's homes, having parties, showing them the products, all this stuff. So it started for me about 14 years ago. And that, like I said, that kind of spiraled into multiple different companies that I've been with. I've been a top 1% of companies in, other businesses, built massive teams, had lots of success. I always kind of felt the burnout in low ticket. I always felt like I was doing so much more work and not necessarily always being able to like reap the benefits. That I really got kind of burnt out about having to keep a team motivated because their sales and their personal sales and their growth, total team volume and all that really depended on how I was doing as well because of how the pay structures were. And so I got burnt out because I did a lot of the work on my own. I was always really a big runner. I always had a ton of sales myself personally. But when it came to really getting to the next level in some companies, I got burnt out because of my team just not always, doing the load that they needed to do, or they just didn't have the passion that I had. So I had jumped around to some different companies trying to find like a really great comp plan. The products were really always important to me. And through some ups and downs in life, I had a baby. I went through some postpartum anxieties and depression, and I lost my dad to cancer, and just lots of different ups and downs in life, all while still being married, having a family, and being a full-time nurse. And I was just kind of tired of the grind and feeling like I was missing out on a lot of stuff, working my business. So for a while there, I kind of didn't do anything. COVID hit. Because of my choices and my beliefs, I was suspended from work for about 8 months or 8 weeks as a nurse, and I, didn't want to take what they were making me take, and so I held my ground, and I was suspended for 8 weeks. And so with that being said, shortly after that, I found out I was pregnant with baby number five as well. And I just really started to feel the pull. And, COVID and all of that was such a burnout time in nursing and in healthcare for me as well. And going through all of that, I really started to kind of feel the pull to be home more with my kids, especially after going through that period of time where I was off and had a new baby, brand new baby in the house, like literally a 1 month old when that all happened to me. And so I just began praying. I began praying for a solution. I was going through a lot of anxiety. I was going through a lot of different ups and downs in my head. Is nursing isn't the same anymore. I don't want to be there as much. I'm missing out on so many things. It got harder as my kids got older. I don't want to say it was easy when they were younger, but it kind of is because they don't remember so much. Now they're remembering me being gone. They're, Mom, are you coming home? Mom, do you have to work again? Who's watching us? Why do you have to go? Like over and over and over every single day. And mind you, I still only worked 3 or 4 12-hour shifts, and would have stretches off, but that's for a nurse is still, I mean, that's full time. That's still a lot. So, um, we went through some stuff in our lives as well, like where we kind of got scammed out of some debt reconsolidation, and we're really struggling, from a financial standpoint as well, because the debt was building as well, and inflation was happening, and kids are expensive, and all the things. So I randomly saw a post one day from a girl I used to do some other things with, some crypto and things in the past. And she had sworn off all marketing and sales and everything as well. She was also very high, big up in low ticket sales and things like that. And I knew her from previous companies, and I knew she said she would never do anything else in sales. So when I saw her posting about this business, direct sales, I was like, okay, what are you doing? I thought you were done with this. And so I watched her for a little bit, and I finally reached out because of what she was posting, and the ability to make these amounts of monies that she was talking about really grabbed my attention, because I was like, gosh, I could work so much less and make so much more. And so I reached out, jumped on a video, which, you, Allie, as well, probably watched the same video or one of the videos, got started in the business that way. And I immediately saw what this business was about and the products. And I watched it with my husband. He immediately said, I don't know what this is or what kind of business is, but you're doing this because we need these products for one thing. So he was the first one to tell me I'm doing this before I even knew what it was, which I love him because he's always had my back and trusted anything that I've ever done and supported me. And he was already telling me I was doing it before I don't really know what this is, you guys. Like, I don't even know, had no idea. Watched the video, got on a call with her, and we just went through the process. And I immediately was like, okay, even if I don't do this business, I want these products. So why wouldn't I do the business? Even though I had kind of sworn it off and didn't really know, but I immediately kind of had FOMO. And my brain was already kind of going crazy with people I've known from my past, people that would love this, people that would be super interested in this, and the products as well. As a nurse, I totally could back them. And so, yeah, so I jumped in. I was just thinking, okay, a couple extra thousand a month would be so helpful. That would cover, my kids also go to private school. So that would cover, some private school tuition, and maybe our mortgage, right? And then all the other things we could work to pay off. We still had student loans, all these other things. I was like, that could be our current incomes. And I was like, I'd love to be able to, drop my hours at work as a nurse and whatever. But at first I was like, just a couple thousand would be great. And when I was told that I could make more than that in one sale, my mind was blown. And I thought, hey, I've been in these companies before where I've had 40, 50, 60 sales in a month. Like, this could be massive. But I had no idea what I was getting into. I was going in blind. I just was trusting, trusting my mentor, trusting the process, and trusting that all my prayers were being answered. And I had to listen because I've been praying for something to get me home more time freedom, help us more, financially stable wise, get some stuff paid off, and just to be home with my kids more. And I couldn't help but feel like this was it. This is what God was saying. And my mom even told me that. My mom had said, I was praying for you. I know you want to get home with your kids more. And so, yeah, so I mean, fast forward to that business starting, I hit the top of the company on two different accounts in less than a year, which is multiple six figures, and have grown a very big team, and continue to, have, like I said, made multiple six figures here. Been able to drop my hours nursing significantly. I still have my foot in the door over there just because I still just like to get out of the house at this point. And I like to just still kind of, work my brain in a different way. My husband begs me every single day to put in my notice and just be home. But I'm getting there. My nursing brain isn't quite ready yet, but it's a good little break to get out of the house, and I do still enjoy that because I love the people. I've been there for 17 years. So those are people I've known for that long, and kind of feels like my family as well. So, but to be able to totally, replace what I was making and make now more, with one sale than I make in multiple months as a nurse, has been absolutely, life changing. We've been able to pay off debt, student loans, a vehicle, done home improvements, new appliances, new furniture, things that I just were like way, way, way like wish lists that I didn't think, would ever be possible anytime soon. And being able to take, vacations and things to be completely just, paid off right off the top because I actually have something in savings that we never had like a significant amount of savings. So that is for me has been a huge thing to be able to like, hey, I've got this sitting in my account. I've never been able to say that in my life. Coming out of nursing school, immediately getting married, immediately having a family, both of us with student loans. It was the American dream, right? Go to college, take out the loans, just basically live in debt your whole lives and work to your, 65 years old. And I was exhausted thinking about that at just mid 30s myself. And now I look at some of these girls in this business and they're in their low to, 20s, low, early 30s, late 20s. And I'm like, if I would have found this business in my 20s, game over. Because I think back to all the businesses that I spent time on, and everything happens for a reason. And we get to where we are because of where we were in the past, right? But I mean, if you jump on this sooner than later, it's like my life would have been completely different than it is now, from a time freedom, financial freedom standpoint. 5 years into the business in my 20s, that would be insanity. But yeah, so like I said, I just knew that this, when I saw the pay structure and I saw the comp plan, I just was like, this is it. There's nowhere else. I've been in the industry for 14 years. There's nowhere else, 15 years, nowhere else I've gone that you can make this amount of money and then also make so much on a sale, as well as with these types of products. And then the fact that there's, these bonuses and annual bonuses, quarterly bonuses, and all of these things that you can be eligible for and are very much within reach. I'd never been a part of that before because of having to grow these teams, that these teams had to be, booming just like you. Now, this is a business where I don't even need a team. I can still get to these ranks and get to places I want to be in this business by myself, where I don't always feel like I have to keep pushing a team and motivating a team, right? If you don't want to, which I do, but it's so different. It's the rules are different. That it's just a lot more freedom than I've ever been able to feel in compared to prior businesses. So, but yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Megan. Your story is really, really powerful. And honestly, just to hear you say like how much this has changed your family, you and your family's life, from, a family of seven, am I right?
Yep.
Family of seven, not having all this debt, not being able to go on vacations and just do these like little things, it's not like huge, it's not like you went and bought a mansion, but it's like you're improving your home and your space and just these little things that like most people nowadays just can't do because of the prices of everything. And they just, they're literally living paycheck to paycheck. And sometimes like that's not even enough. So I
Mhm.
just think that's so powerful that you've been able to set your family up in that position. And I totally understand about like still wanting to use that nurse brain because every now and then I'm like, should I go back PRN? Should I go back PRN? Like sometimes I kind of flirt with that idea and then I'm like, wait, I don't think I'm really employable anymore after
Yeah, I'm
like
sure.
just being my own, doing my own thing. So yeah, tell us, I would love for you to share about, how before you were able to drop your hours, how did you juggle everything? That's such a juggle between like being a wife, working as a full-time nurse and then also doing the business and then obviously caring for five children. How did you do it?
By the grace of God.
That's a
I
good answer.
sometimes I don't know. No, I've always really flourished in like intense situations and being busy. Like that has always been my jam. That's been my entire life. I've been an athlete all my life, a three-sport athlete the majority of my life. Played a college sport, went to nursing school. Like when I wasn't busy, I felt like something was wrong. So I think throughout all of my life, I've just learned to really prioritize certain things, plan for things, just really kind of just realizing as well that like like I said, I just kind of always have done better when I'm busy, and somehow I'm able to manage it all. But I'm not gonna, if I said it was easy, I would be lying, because it's not easy. But coming into this business, I saw such potential and knew that if I worked this business super hard and just committed to doing all the things I was told to do, that I would be able to become less busy if I wanted, right? And so I always say, like, that's the biggest thing I hear people say is I don't have enough time. And I want to be like, you want to talk about not enough time? Let's chat, right? Because if your excuse is that you don't have enough time, I'd love to hear you try to one up me for one. I always say that. I was like, tell me how busy you are, and I'm going to compare yourself. I don't like to compare myself, but I'm going to tell you, you can do it. We all have the same 24 hours. So I say that all the time. We all have the same 24 hours a day, although I really need 32 hours and the last of those hours to be just by myself. But I always say that because it's all about how you manage in those 24 hours. What do you do with those 24 hours? So when I came into this business, you know, I could have easily kept binge watching my Netflix or binge watching my shows and all this stuff, but instead I replaced that with this business. I replaced those minutes that I kind of maybe had for myself to watch a show or, anything. I really replaced that time because I knew that if I worked this business in any spare time that I had, that I would be able to eventually get back to that point. So for me, it was just finding little times where um, I could listen to content and listen to trainings, and that was folding laundry. That was bringing kids, dropping kids to all the activities and all the sports. That would be earplugs in between, softball, baseball games all summer long at the ballpark. Anytime I could to get my ears on a training or anything. And this business is remote, right? So I can do this from anywhere. I can do this from my home in my office music room here. I can do this from my phone in the gym or wherever. So I was constantly able to prioritize time and say, hey, I'm this block of time, I'm going to work my business first thing this morning, going to do all the things, follow up on conversations, and then I'm going to, have the rest of the day for myself, and then I'll follow up later on those conversations. And so it was all very much just kind of planning it out, getting into a routine. But because we are on our phones, I'm able to work my business from anywhere. So I don't want to say I'm constantly working my business, but I am, but I'm working it around my life, because I'm not going to stop and answer a message inquiring about the business if I'm in the middle of watching a basketball game, right? I'm not going to necessarily pick up my phone. I'm going to put that aside. My business works around my life and not the other way, or my life works around my business, not the other way around. So I get to choose when and if I want to work my business. And it all depends too on how successful you want to be. If you want to be successful very fast, and you're going to put more time into the business, and you're going to prioritize what that means to you. So for me, like I said, I just kind of work this around my life, and it is very possible. It is very doable. I also coach. So I'm a basketball coach. My husband's a baseball coach. My husband's a football coach. So those seasons as well are busy when I've got kiddos running around, but it's all about how you want to prioritize your life and prioritize your time. I was willing to take more time with this business in the beginning and now, and prioritize certain things in my life that I didn't necessarily need to be doing, and I could be working my business instead, because I knew it would get me to a point where I could be that much more free to be able to have time and not have to work so much at the hospital, and not, and be able to have the financial freedom, that we could be. So I knew it would all pay off. And that was one thing for me. In my mind, I was like, this is plan A. This is plan A. This is what I want to do. I want to work this hard. And I don't want this to take 5 years to be successful. And so that's a mindset. And that's what, you have to decide too in your brain, is like, is risking some time, even if it's just 1, 2, 3 hours a day, if that is risking some time of you binge watching your shows or doing whatever it is you like to do. Does that risk pay off when it comes to you still being in the situation you're in a year from now, right? So if I don't work this business and I don't put the time into this, and I made this investment for myself and my family, and I don't prioritize sometime somewhere for the betterment of our lives, then I'm going to be in the same place as we are right now next year. And that didn't sit right. And that didn't sit well. And I didn't like the feeling. And I still didn't see myself being able to do the things we wanted to do as a family, and being able to kind of start to live in that kind of that freedom path. And so you just do it. You cut the excuses. I don't care if you don't have time. I don't care if you don't have experience. I've got nurses on my team, and the majority of them have never done anything in sales, right? We're healthcare workers, and we're nurses, and majority of people have no experience in sales, and that doesn't matter, because what we have here is so powerful, and such an amazing blueprint that anybody and everybody can work this. I mean, whether you're in your 20s or in your 70s, right? We've got people that are retired and have come to this business, and are thriving and are successful. So it's really about putting your own excuses and your own, current routine aside, and getting out of, kind of that matrix of your everyday, what you're supposed to be doing, and take a risk and make a change, because if you don't change anything, nothing changes, right? So for me, that was like a non-negotiable, is that I had to make time for this, and no matter what, I was going to make that work, while not necessarily, taking more time away from my family and my kids and the activities and all of that stuff. But it does take a little bit of a sacrifice in the beginning. I had some late nights, and I did put in the time, and there'd be nights where I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. because I was talking to people or had calls late into the evening. So it did take some sacrifice in the beginning, but that's also why I was so successful so quickly, because I did put the extra time in, and I operated on very little sleep. I'll say that right now. And I still to this day am. I don't like mornings, but I don't go to bed Hold on.
I don't know what happened there.
There you go. My mom called.
There. Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I think that I was actually done talking about what I was saying. Can you see all of me? I only see half of me.
Amazing. I can see all of
Okay,
you.
good.
Yeah, I can see you. Well, wow, Megan, thank you so much. And seriously, like you gave such a transparent, just like very like pulling back the curtain answer. And I love that. I feel like people really need to know that, that it does take a sacrifice in the beginning on the front end, of your journey, if you will. And I love that. It's so true, and I think a lot of people like don't understand that. And it's good that like they need to know that if they really want to come in here, and go big, then that's what it's going to require. So thank you so much for explaining that and sharing your journey. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. If there's
Yeah.
what would you say to the person that's watching? They're not sure, they're a little bit skeptical, whether they've maybe even seen some information about this, or this is even the first time that they're, learning about this. They're like, what are these ladies talking about? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I say just reach out. That's the first thing is like you sitting there and overthinking it on the back end and not getting the details is your own problem. Like I just don't overthink it. Reach out, get the information so you have all the facts. I say that all the time is like knowledge is power. So if you don't have the details and the information and the knowledge that goes behind this and what this all is, you're not getting anywhere. You're just sitting there overthinking and thinking about what if it's right for me, what if it's wrong for me. You have no idea unless you reach out. So I just always tell people like if you're seeing the information and you have any you're drawn to it and even a little bit, just reach out. Nothing is set in stone. You're just going to get the details. You're going to talk a little bit more, get your questions answered. And if it's for you, it's for you. And if it's not, it's not. And I always say too that people, just you don't, you're going to sit back and make assumptions of what this is or isn't. It's not going to get you anywhere in life. And you also have to decide if you're in a place where you're comfortable. Like, do you like your current situation? Are you living your dream? Are you loving going to work every single day of the week? Are you burnt out at the bedside? Are you a stay-at-home mom but wish you can contribute somehow and wish your husband was home more with you? You sitting there and just dreaming a life that is never going to happen if you're not going to make a change, then what is the harm in getting the information? So that's what I would say for sure.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Very,
Yeah.
very well said. I think you hit the nail on the head of every single one of these, every
Yeah.
one of your answers. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing with everybody. It was super helpful. If either anybody's seeing this on my page or if you're seeing this on Megan's page, make sure you reach out to us. Don't be afraid. Just get the information, like she said. So, and
Yeah.
thank you so much. I
Absolutely. Yeah, you're very, very
hope you guys
welcome.
have
We
a
hope,
great day.
yes, you too. We hope to see you guys here on our team and in our community soon. So have a great Friday.
Sounds great. Happy
All right.
Friday. Bye.
See ya.